Hello, Huns Nation. Billy O here with season 3, episode 1 of the Old Cast. Still coming to you from Palm Desert, California, where a lot of old people live, even though the background is Nixon Lane that the Huns now own free and clear. You may not have heard, we have a new coach. He's from New Zealand. Let me introduce the Ryan Thompson. Ryan, how you doing?
Kia ora, Bill. How you doing, man?
I'm doing really good. We had a great week of rugby out at Nixon Lane on Saturday. A great weekend. The D3 guys and the D2 guys rolled up the Reds in impressive style, scores like 48-14 and 48-25 or something like that. The D1 side played 55 minutes of, pretty incredibly great rugby with a few things to improve on. And then maybe 25 minutes of, boy, wow, we have some work to do. But Ryan, that's your job. What did you think of the weekend?
Yeah. Oh, look for me. I mean, I'd been here for about 5 or 6 days, Bill, before when I went out to Nixon Lane for those 3 games on Saturday, and I felt like I'd been here for a lot longer after a couple of good trainings and a lot of names to learn, and a lot of things to say over that first couple of trainings we had leading up to Saturday. But it was a great occasion. It was a beautiful day. I've said to you before this interview and a number of the players and the staff around the members, I should say, around the club, that what you guys have created, I think, is I'm still trying to get my head around it. It's just so different for me to be at a place that's privately owned, privately run, and just the contribution that everyone's making to keeping this club up and doing and being the club that it is. It's super impressive. So I had a great day out there. From a rugby perspective, it was awesome to see some real effort to play some good quality rugby in that D3 and D2 and that D2 level. I wasn't sure at the level that D3 and D2 would be, and they really exceeded my expectations 2 or 3-fold. Some really good footy, and I was really impressed. Just the effort, the attitude, and the results spoke for itself for sure. And that D1, as we said before the start of this interview, man, that D1 it had a bit of a feeling. It had a bit of a feeling that it was going to end up in a bit of a nightmare situation towards the end. But we've talked about it. We've talked about it at the field. I've talked to players about it over a couple of beers afterwards, and there's going to be some real learnings and some benefit from the result and from the adversity that result created. So no, look, it was a hugely positive weekend for me personally. For my first weekend in Austin, and a really positive, I think a positive result. Obviously for D2 and D3, but in a kind of backward kind of way, it's going to be a big result for our D1 team heading forward over the next 6 months of the season.
I hate the notion of a good loss, right? We did get 2 bonus points out of it, which could end up being big. Last year, we beat the Reds by 1 bonus point because we got 2 bonus points both matches, and they got 2 and 1. So who knows? We'll see them again. But I watched all the matches, and I'm such a geek. I'm a fan. Whenever the Huns are on the iPhone on a Saturday, my wife just leaves the house. I plug my computer into the television, and it's just a miracle to me that the internet can let me watch. And to see the D3 and D2 guys come out and roll the Reds up like that, and to watch our boys play with flair like they did even in the beginning of the D1 match, that's the first week we've had the D1 side together in practice. And the Reds are a really good club. They are a really strong, big physical side. But I think that if I was a coach, I would think that you'll have more of the guys' attention after a loss like that than if they'd have won 64-3.
Yeah, I don't know, Bill. Like in terms of their attention as a coach, if we're talking D1 specifically, like I think they've got all the guys I've met in the last week have been extremely coachable, and they're extremely united in what they want to achieve from rugby. They've taken, the few ideas that I've been able to sort of get across in the last couple of trainings. They've taken that all on. We've had a lot of good conversations going on. I think probably less in terms of their attention to me, and probably more what that loss is going to generate is a lot of thinking about how to play the game in different situations when referees and offloads and a couple of key moments change the landscape of a game within the game, how we respond. And that is something that you can play for 15 years and still not know the answer to, and all you can do is learn from experiences just like these and feelings just like these, which the boys have had. So
that's what I'm talking about. Not so much attitude, but one of the things that I would imagine that's different here, I didn't start playing rugby until my first day of college at age 18. We've got some guys that started playing in high school. Now we've started a youth program. We're trying to start them a little bit younger. But the level of coaching, the level of play, the amount of play, and the time we start learning is much later. So you talked to me offline about rugby IQ, and you just mentioned some really important points about game management, about when to offload, when to play, do things, adjust to the referee, maybe when to kick for field position. When things are going bad, what can you do to calm the game down? I think these are things that somebody that's played the game his whole life and at a high level. I mean, you played professionally in Japan. You were knocking on the door of playing Super Rugby in New Zealand. You were in the discussion. That's what I'm talking about as far as paying attention, because there's so much to this game. I mean, it's really incredible. You could probably play for 30 years and keep learning. So that's what I'm talking about as far as them paying attention. I think if we learn to play together more, not that we don't, but more, and manage the game better, the sky's the limit.
Absolutely. I think rugby IQ is a really hard thing to coach, to learn by watching other games. It's only by experience, and that's the beautiful thing about rugby compared to the sports you guys maybe are more familiar with here, with American football and stuff, with it just being play by play. You can have 12, 13 phases. So good luck having any idea, what the hell's gonna happen on the 14th. And that's the beautiful thing. It's reactionary, it's unpredictable, and it takes smart people with good rugby IQs who are willing to learn and think about what they would have done differently in that situation. That's where they're going to get some serious rewards for that. So, look, we're going to have at D1 level, we're going to have some great conversations over the next couple of weeks about how we could have done things differently. And I think I really hope the boys and I all approach that, and Brian, of course, to all approach those conversations with big smiles on our faces, because it really does. It's really exciting to know, as you've mentioned, how good we can get once we start having those. We start thinking about things and managing the game the right way in the right areas of the field.
Well, I don't know. And again, I was excited by the D3 and D2 wins like crazy.
Yeah.
Even with a D1 loss, which is a big deal. I mean, there's only a limited number of games. It took me a day, but I'm still excited. And I think that, good on a friend of yours in the Gilgronis referred you to Adam, right?
Oh yeah, a guy called Josh Larson. He played for the Gilgronis maybe in the first couple of years, and he's been up with the New England Free.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's been with the New England Free Jacks and playing for Canada since then. So he's living up there, but he's got a lovely partner whose family's all in Austin. So I know where his eyes are. And I actually had a coaching opportunity up in Nick Taylor's hometown of Edmonton, Alberta, and I had a coaching opportunity up there, and I was talking to Josh about it just before I signed the dotted line, and Josh said to talk to Adam about this opportunity. So talk to Adam I did, and then talk to Brian and yourself I did, and that was about 5 weeks ago now. So I feel like I've lived a life in that 5 weeks, but yeah, here we are.
Well, good on them for finding you and recruiting you, and good on Brian for thinking outside the box. He's a new director of rugby and he's doing some things differently, and good on him. And I'm sure Edmonton,
Hey, well,
Alberta.
don't speak too soon, man. Don't speak too soon.
I'm sure Edmonton, Alberta is a beautiful place, but you would be hard pressed to find a better town and a better party town for a young man, and a better rugby town than Austin, Texas. So we're really glad. We're really glad to have you. So that's about 10 minutes of getting to know you and talking in very general terms. If you're kind of visualizing a style of play that you would like to see the Huns emulate after 1 week, what country would you most like to see us be able to emulate in style of play going forward?
What do you think?
Well, I think it's New Zealand.
What's your best guess? Yeah.
Look, I think it's New Zealand. I love the way New Zealand plays, but I'm not 100% sure our talent matches up. Like, I don't really like the kick and chase game, and I don't really like how conservative Ireland plays sometimes, but I think Johnny Sexton's a great fly half.
And the way that they're our forwards and from the All Blacks, and in a weird way, like the Huns, we've got a lot to learn from packs like that. Their line speed that the Irish forwards showed with the All Blacks not long ago is something that I'll be hugely encouraging of our forwards to try and emulate. And there were plenty of opportunities. We talked halftime about our line speed and whether we had 2 or 3 guys bringing the line speed, or we had 5 or 6, 7 or 8 guys bringing the line speed at every ruck. And the answer was probably only 2 or 3, and that left some holes in it. And I think that played a big part in their ability to offload. Crazy offloads in the D1 match towards the end of the game. That stuck, and I've talked to the boys before. I've never seen that many offloads, virtually no look offloads stick to the point that the Dallas Reds were able to achieve. But that was out of our control. What was in our control was our line speed and our first up tackles. So if there's anything to learn from that Irish pack that beat the All Blacks 2 weeks ago, it was complete ruthlessness in their tight work, and complete suffocation of the way that the All Blacks forwards like to play with the offloads, the tip passes, the up the backs, and the ranginess, I guess, of the All Blacks. So no, there's definitely things to take from that. But look, I think with the backline that we've got and the skillful, smart forward pack that we have, I don't imagine we will have any trouble playing a width to width, sort of sideline to sideline brand of rugby that, from what everyone's told me, the Huns like to play. I think Corey Jones said to me on Saturday, he goes, "We're happy. We're good at scoring points." And I think one of the biggest challenges might be this year to figure out how to keep other teams not scoring any while we score lots, and that's an exciting prospect.
That was one of the things Adam really improved our group upon, and we did really great also in sevens, is that we didn't win because of our offense. We won because we played much better defense, and the same athletic ability that allows you to play side to side attacking rugby, the same athletic ability allows you to play really good defensive rugby. Would you agree with that?
I think so. I think fitness was something that was always going to be a challenge in our first game, and to defend for 20 minutes straight on the D1 side. We had some subs that went on. I think Biff went on, and I don't think I think we had the ball for the 20 minutes he was on. He mentioned to me. So yeah, fitness is always going to be a challenge, and when you're defending for 20 minutes straight against a team that has 100% of the momentum, it's going to be hard. So yeah, you're right. The same kind of agility and the same kind of fitness and accuracy that you need to display side-to-side rugby on attack is what you need to be effective on defense and to be ruthless and suffocating on defense. Yeah.
I love New Zealand too. I mean, I realize that makes me a front runner. I pay to be able to watch Southern Hemisphere rugby. All that said, I got to tell you, I think it's really good for world rugby that England beat South Africa, that Ireland and France put together some really good games and beat New Zealand, that Australia's had some challenges. I mean, the Northern Hemisphere really has exhibited well the last few weeks against the Southern Hemisphere.
Oh man, it's we're sitting at Wellborn Woodwork today. I had my first day there today, helping out with some of their stuff, and CJ was there, and he said that South Africa lost. I had the All Blacks lost. We had a D1's Huns loss. It was a bit, it was all a bit doom and gloom. I think
it was a brutal Saturday. It was a brutal Saturday.
The Wellborn boys had Dallas didn't even score a touchdown in their game, so like it was under in the NFL. So yeah, it was a brutal morning coffee conversation for sure.
I will forgive the Wellborns for liking the Cowboys. I'm not a big Cowboy fan. Yeah, but we're such geeks, man. We want to know this game. We want to learn this game. We didn't start it when we were young. I mean, you're coaching in the forwards a lot of football players. Like I know there's a couple guys that played in our D1 match and in the D2 and D3 matches that are very new to rugby. So they love the fact that they were linemen before and they never got to run with the ball. And now I get to run with the ball and it's, where's the contact? 5 yards in a cloud of dust. And the athletic talent's there, but there's a lot of clay here to mold for you, not just at the D1 level. My hope, and I know that Brian's hope and the coach's hope, is that all this is going to trickle down, that you're not just coaching D1 players, you're coaching coaches and you're coaching everybody. And that rugby IQ can kind of matriculate up.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it was funny. It was funny as a fright, man. Like when I turned up on Tuesday, I hadn't really slept that night. I hadn't really slept since the plane, and then about 50 guys looked at me, sort of said, "Right, what are we doing, coach?" And I was kind of, to be fair, when you come on these kind of opportunities, you never quite know what you're walking into. So walking into sort of, I guess, head coaching three teams, obviously alongside those other coaching staff who are fantastic and are really keen to learn, just like the players. It's something that's it's going to be a big challenge, and I'm really looking forward to it. I just hope I can contribute in the best way possible, and just do whatever I can to empower all three teams to play the rugby that they want to play and to reach the success, whatever they define it as, reach the success that they want to.
Well, I'm really glad you touched on the coaches. The assistant coaches are all volunteers, Ben. And about a thankless job. You don't get paid. You work a zillion hours, guys, selections. But those guys, they go to seminars, they get the certifications, and they want to improve. They want to learn.
Yeah.
They want to know what's up. They want to help the players get better. I really admire this. In the old days, you had player coaches. I was a player coach. Sean Rutledge, who I'm sure you met and forgot his name over the weekend, an old boy, was a player coach. That's just the way it was for a really long time. And we didn't know shit. I mean, our idea of a backline play was to get the ball to the wing.
Yeah.
To spread it wide. So I watch what these guys have put together. I mean, I'm in the background supporting, right? I watch what these guys have put together with the field, with the volunteer organization, with the sevens tournament we run. And I'm just blown away with the food we cook at the social. I mean, we have the best social of anybody. And,
bit of goulash.
Well, that's what they did that time. Other time it'll be barbecue, So, the assistant coaches, Borofsky, Hay, Zippy, who was club president and captain at one point back in the day, the Wellborns. Those guys are all salt of the earth Huns.
Don't forget Hall of Fame. Don't forget Hall of Famer Jack.
Is Jack back already?
Jack's back. Jack's been there. Yeah, both trainings. I think Jack was there.
I didn't think Jack was back
there on
already.
Saturday.
You cannot forget Huns Hall of Famer and owner for 30 years of our bar, Uncle Nasty's.
Yeah, I see. This is what the problem is. I'm berating him for selling it before I got here because the stories.
I didn't mean to forget Jack Bloom. I played with Jack Bloom. I partied with Jack Bloom. We once had a 10 martini lunch together. There's stories that I can't even tell on a family channel about Jack.
No. Hey, look, after my Saturday night I had with the boys, I can imagine all of you have got some stories about Huns parties that they're not able to tell.
Well, Jack Bloom is another great salt of the earth guy. I'm so glad he's back. And I'm also glad that he's been able to get involved in coaching and help. But that's a great volunteer coaching staff. And, you know, I really hope the players behind the scenes understand just how many guys, old boys making donations and you know, watching and videos and, you know, chatting about them behind the scenes and shit. There's an awful lot of invisible guys pulling them together for this to work well. All right. We asked a lot of tough questions on the old cast. So here we go. All right. You're starting a team and you get first pick. Richie McCaw or Dan Carter?
Dan Carter.
Wow, from a 7.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think fly halves or first fives as we call them are literally that's the hard by far the hardest position to play. And you get a good one, someone like DC, someone with that kind of experience. We're talking DC at 2015 World Cup. Before
with
he
the drop
became
kick and
world,
all that.
became World Player of the Year. Like he just had that game on a string, that entire tournament. That's we could have won that tournament without Richie McCaw, but we don't know how we would have won it without Dan Carter. Simple, easy question. Next one.
Easy question. Jesus Christ.
Next one.
All right, second pick. Richie McCaw or somebody else?
Shit.
This is helping me understand how you would build a team.
I'd probably take Aaron Smith before Richie McCaw as well.
Same drill. You need someone that's going to run the game. Do you need?
He's got it on a he's got it on a string. He's got he's got rugby on a string right now.
But you got two. My point in asking this question is you have two field managers.
Oh yeah,
that are managing what's going on.
Oh yeah, full game driver mode. Yeah, the more people. Sorry, can you hear that? I've got. Oh, Rick's just closed the door. I'm gonna take it. I want to move. I've got this leaf blower going on.
That's funny.
Rick stops for no one. Clearly.
That's funny. It's interesting because you were a wing forward, a 7, correct? Flanker.
Yeah, I was a number 6 lock. Yeah.
So, we tend to think the game revolves around us, that the best position in the world is flanker. But you're saying by far the most important positions from a game management standpoint are scrum half and fly half, and you build the game and the team around them.
I mean, I think those two players as players, they could be any position. I think there's truth to what you said in your statement to a point, but I think those two as players, in my time as an adult watching rugby and being a rugby player and a coach, they have the game, as I've said a couple of times, on a string more than any other player. Richie's a forward that has got pretty close to doing that. But as I told the backs on before Saturday, and as I told every team I've been in, forwards most of the time have their head buried in some pretty dark places, and if they've got people telling them exactly what to do, and what they're being told is the right thing to do, then they're just cattle sometimes. And that is just fine by me saying that from a forward's perspective. But if I've got a fullback telling me exactly how my spacing is on defense and exactly what pod I'm going to go to and what's happening next, then please take away my thinking for me, because I've got to put my head somewhere dark in 2 seconds anyway.
Alex Reese's dad, Jonty, and I played together. So you got a second generation Hun. Jonty was a fly half. And we were chatting over the weekend, and we were joking about some player back in the day that did something really stupid. And Jonty's final comment was he was a prop, figures, and I love my props. Terry Adams, Jay Rudd, all you guys out there, I love you. But I hear what you're saying. All right, you're staying at Rick Russell's house, is that right?
I'm staying at Rick Russell's house. That's right.
The Hillbilly Hilton.
The Godfather that he is.
Have you had a tetanus shot?
Haven't had. Of course, I've had, like practically. Yeah, I've had my tetanus shot, but like as I told you before, I mean, we had a big Sunday, we had a big Saturday night, and I had a great time out in Austin. The city's crazy, man. It was really, really fun, and I got home about midday the following morning. Stumbled in. The first thing he said, he was like, "Well, I mean, I enjoy a Super Sunday, so couple of hours nap, and we'll head off to Rainy Street." And I'm like, "Fuck, gosh!" I'm like, "Sorry." I'm like, "Okay, Rick." So I managed to talk him out of it once I realized I was working today. Had to be out of the Wellborn's wood shop a bit early, so I managed to talk him out of it. But I don't imagine I'll be able to talk him out of it every time.
You know, staying there will be good for your immune system. I'm pretty sure there's a cure. I'm pretty sure there's a cure for COVID in the mold growing in his guest bathroom. So, you know, medical science will help him down the line. One piece of advice, don't let him talk you into eating clams out of a can. Whatever you do, don't do that.
Mate, he's extremely generous of this whole club. I mean, I didn't buy a drink. I didn't buy a drink all night on Saturday night. Like everyone's been super welcoming and inviting me all kinds of places. I've been super lucky to be here, and it's certainly like validated my choice to be here. And Rick is the biggest contributor to that, having me here. So I'm not going to say anything bad about Rick, because I mean, I'm just so lucky to be living in Westlake Hills, surrounded by a lot of yummy mummies, and yeah, really close to town, and in a great spot. So I'm very lucky. Thank you, Rick Russell.
That's okay. You don't need to say anything bad about Rick Russell. I love him. I can give him all the shit I want. There is a young Rick Russell in old school rugby shorts, circa 1983, maybe. He's played rugby for 2 years. He was on the University of Texas Longhorn football team.
It sure was.
That's me in the very back doing what I always do, talking. But Rick Russell is a salt of the earth guy. I'm really glad that the guys have made you feel welcome.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
You know, if I could say one thing about the club in, you know, whatever it is, 47 years of association. I can't believe I'm that fucking old. It's brotherhood. It's camaraderie. Yeah. We've always been the underdogs. We've always fought the Reds and the Blacks, and the rivalry with the Blacks is amazing. It's a good-natured rivalry with the Reds. It's downright ornery with the Blacks. And, you know, we've always stuck together no matter what, and we've always had fun no matter what. We've traveled and loved this game. And so the fact that you're here and you want to be here and you can bring something special to us means a lot to me, and I think it means a lot to the guys. I think that's why you're experiencing what you're experiencing. You know, I want to ask one more question that when we were interviewing you, you know, we hear about rugby growing in the United States, and that's one of the things we're working on with the youth program and things like that. You said something that surprised me, that you thought that overall at the youth level, the game was not growing in New Zealand. I thought I heard you say that the youth game there and the basic club game there wasn't growing. It wasn't like it used to be. What's going on at that level in New Zealand?
It's the professionalism of the game in New Zealand is becoming from high school to club, which is generally how it goes. When my dad was playing rugby, for example, in the 80s, every single person who played rugby, every single guy played rugby at high school, right? And then he went into club rugby, and club rugby was your community for at least the winter. And so they would have 1, 2, 3 senior men's teams, you know, at each club, and there was 10 clubs within a 50-kilometer radius in each province. So it was, you know, just heaps and heaps of people playing rugby, and then there was obviously under 21s teams, and And then you'd go to the provincial level. Then the Super Rugby arose, and there was just lots of guys playing rugby. That's what we did, and that's what everyone did. And tell you what, in the last 10 years, I'd say, schools who traditionally would have had 12 or 13 rugby teams going down the high schools, going down from 18 to 13 years old, have probably chopped those in half. The club level, the under 21s, which is the grade that you generally go to when you leave high school. Yeah, the amount of teams per province contributing a age group side to the club competition is dropping significantly, and it's so basically the amateur game is suffering from a real decline in participation, and there's a number of reasons for that. One being the professionalism of the game. It's becoming a point where to play club rugby you need to be 6, 7, 8 trainings a week players, not on the field necessarily, but in the gym, and making sure that you're conditioned right to take the contact and the physicality that brings, that kind of competition brings. And there's not a lot of guys who have the time and energy to be getting beat up, spending all that time in the gym, and then ending up hurt from big guys running at them. So it's a shame. I mean, the concussion thing's something I've suffered from, and it's another issue that has put people off rugby because of the impact that has on day-to-day life when you're not being paid to sit at home by yourself. So look, it is a shame, and I really hope we address it as a country, because it is a huge part of our identity, and it's helped me travel the world. It's helped my dad travel the world. It's a lot of my friends and whānau at home. So it's a real shame, and I'm sure we'll figure it out. But at the moment, it's becoming one of those things where, if a 7-year-old wants to start playing rugby in New Zealand, there's a lot of mothers and fathers saying, I've just seen an article about some guy who's all banged up from footy when he's 50 years old, and do I want to put my kid in that situation? Maybe not. And it's hard to swallow. It's hard to see in the media, but it runs through our veins a little bit back home. So I hope we figure it out.
Guys are a lot bigger now, and the same thing is.
Oh yeah.
I mentioned to you that we only had 32 D1 sides in the United States a year ago. Some of that's because they've gravitated to professional rugby, but some of it is at the amateur level when you're holding down a job, or maybe you have a wife to report to, that it's really hard, the gym and all that. I mean, I was a very large flanker in the 70s and the 80s at 210 pounds.
Yeah.
Very large. Fly halves today are bigger than me and faster than me. Wings are bigger today and faster than I was by far. And so it has changed dramatically. It just was hard for me to hear that, because I think that we need to grow the game internationally, and keep the game strong internationally. But I also understand. All right.
Yeah, I think the question becomes: is it going to turn into, in New Zealand and Southern? Well, not. I think in New Zealand it's got real risk of turning into something similar to your college football, NFL sort of cup culture. Because if you're not going to make a living out of it, is it going to be worth doing? Is there a space available for you? But there's heaps of initiatives coming through. Like there's an under 85 kg. I'm not sure what that is in pounds, but it's kind of like, it's a grade. It's growing hugely. There's hundreds of under 85 kg teams, and it's kind of social, but at the same time, they take it really serious.
Like under 190 pounds, probably something like that.
Yeah. And these guys, the props are the same size as the wingers, because they're all sort of like starving themselves for 2 days before they weigh in to play the game. And that competition has a really high level of rugby, because there's a lot of guys who played at a high level at high school, don't want to go play with the big boys. And they're playing national championship games. They're traveling around. There's picked a New Zealand side the other week. So maybe that's the future. Who knows? But for amateur rugby, maybe it is.
I think it's one of the reasons our guys our backs like sevens so much, is that there's some space and they can have fun, It's been about a half an hour, and, no one likes to hear old guys talk too long. So we're going to start winding it up. But, you're a new coach. You've been around a week. If there was a message you wanted to send, if there was just a general message you wanted to send to the guys, the players, what would that be?
I'd say just after the week that we had, the D2, D3 guys who probably, it seemed like a little bit, not surprised themselves, but were really happy with how they played, and they looked like they had a lot of fun. There's a D1 team that we went in really serious that game. We came out and there was some pretty somber faces, and I think the message has to be the same to all those players and to my coaching staff, and to make sure that I remember is that we're here to have fun by playing good rugby. And I think despite the D1 result, all three teams went a long way towards that goal, and the D2 and 3 definitely remembered it. And it's always easy to remember it when you win, but those D1 boys, we have to make sure we remember that, and we go into trainings and leading into our next game and the 6-month season, aiming to have fun by playing good, expensive, fun rugby. So we just got to keep our smiles on our faces, and just keep moving forward, and appreciate the game we have, appreciate each other, and remembering it's an amateur game that we just really, really want to do well at. So
behind me is a picture of our old timers day 2 or 3 years ago. We had maybe a couple 100 to 200 old boys out, plus a bunch of other people for other reasons. But it's really remarkable to have this many people traveling in that played for the club. They're still, I wear Huns blue all the time. It drives my wife crazy. You're wearing your Huns shirt again. So in closing, just any thoughts, any messages out to the old boys and the overall collective group of Huns?
is that you said a message for the old boys?
Yeah, just what do you got to say to the old boys, to the conglomerate?
I just think what I think that, as I said, I'm still sort of trying to appreciate and sort of figure out, and guess come to grips with what you guys have created here, because as I told you, and a lot of people, it's so different than what we're used to at home. We're handed a rugby club on a silver platter, publicly funded, zero cost, zero effort to us. We turn up, we play, we complain about our facilities, and then we leave again. And what you guys have built, what you plan to continue to build out at Nixon, from talking to a bunch of guys who can't wait to see what the next stage of Nixon looks like. I just say that, congratulations to all those old boys for what you've built. You should be very, very proud of yourselves, because it's super cool. And there's a bunch of those guys, there's a lot of those guys, if not all of those guys, currently playing, who I can see have the same passion for this club, and taking it to the stars and beyond, as these old boys do. So for those old boys that weren't able to be there on Saturday, or haven't been able to see the club for a wee while because of COVID and travel and all that kind of stuff, I'd say from my very limited experience that your club's in great hands with the players that you've got right now, and that you guys have built something really cool.
Well, it's good to hear you say that. Thank you. There are some great young old boys: Hansel Johansson, Wheezy, Adam Scheidler, Matt Mitchell. Hansel and Matt are both still playing a bit, but there are some young guys at the administrative level getting a lot of really good things done. There's a bunch of old boys pitching together behind the scenes to do some things with the land. Alex Reese and Austin Willis and Van Diver and so many young players. Jack Casey have a passion for rugby, but a passion for organization. I don't know if the club's ever been in better hands than it is with those guys I just mentioned, and the assistant coaches that we mentioned earlier. Also, if I forgot anybody, please don't be offended. I don't have Alzheimer's. I do have sometimers. So we're in great hands all the way around. And, Ryan, I'm going to try and get out whenever I can. I'm over in California, but I just want to wish you personally, on behalf of all the old boys, the biggest welcome possible. We're glad you're here. And I think you've got some really good clay to mold here. And I think the sky's the limit. I know D1 lost, but I am super excited about what this group can accomplish with your help. Good luck.
Yeah, hey, thanks. I can't wait to contribute any way I can, and just be part of be part of these players taking this team through to some really good results. I can see it coming, and it's going to be a great group to work with. I can tell already. So thanks for having me on, Bill. It's a pleasure, and I can't wait to shake your hand in person, hopefully very soon.
Hope so soon too, but you know what, man, the fact that these boys broadcast the matches and I'm on Discord, I got the link to the games is almost as good. But you know, this club saved my life when I was 18. 5 years ago, when I started really getting back involved again, I was not in a good place, and I've been focusing a lot of my energy. Professionally, I manage nonprofits for a living, and I've been trying to help bring some of that experience with Hansel as a leader. Hansel was a great leader through the abyss. This has been a labor of love for me at two really important times in my life, and I think a lot of guys will tell you that the Huns saved their life. And you know, that and the brotherhood, the friends, all means so much to me, and to see them doing so well at the highest level in the United States right now is really good, and I'm really glad you're a part of it. So again, welcome, and
thank you.
I'm hoping for nothing but the best for you and the boys.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Hey, thank you very much.
All right, guys. Huns.